Everybody's talking about plant protein. Everybody's talking about vegan food. We are not doing vegan recipes here today at the moment. But we are doing something which has become a very important part of a vegan menu, which has become a very important part of plant-based or plant-forward diets, and they are called mushrooms. Now this one here is called the portobello mushroom. Now for me, this is one of a very important mushroom to the whole culinary world, because if you see the size, it's nice, firm, okay? It tastes like meat. Now these are known as king oyster mushrooms, okay? Now these are also again very meaty, very nicely. What I'm actually going to be doing is I'm going to be trimming these mushrooms, and the oyster mushrooms, I'm just going to slice them into lovely battens like this. Now all these stems of mushrooms, all the peel of the portobello, these stubby bits of these lovely shiitake mushrooms. Now these, what I would do, I make a great pickle with shiitake as well. These trimmings of these mushrooms can be used, and I know exactly where I'm going to put it here. If you want to come and see right here, I'm creating this really nice, beautiful stock which has onions, leeks, some celery, and so I'm going to be adding a little more nutrition into this. Instead of using water in your cooking, you can actually use stock. What are you doing when you're using stock in cooking? You are actually creating a zero wastage system. So I'm going to be using spring onions for this recipe. I'm going to take a few of these and I'm going to be adding it into my stock. These I'm going to be adding it as my garnish later on top of the mushroom. So there is the reason. Now we have parsley, okay? So these stalks of this parsley, I'm going to cut it off and I'm going to add it into my stock, okay? So there you go. So this again is going to be chopped later and it's going to go into my garnish as my soup. So I said, let me take you into this really nice, beautiful world of fungi, as we call them. Now this is called black fungus, or they're also known as wood ear mushrooms, okay? Now these almost taste like, almost like eating a slice of meat. So we've got a black fungi which we're not going to play too much with. We're just going to cut it just like this. And now we move on to Hamara hero aaj ki recipe, risotto. What is risotto? Now risotto is a rice dish which comes from the northern part of Italy. Now Italy, if you go to see, a lot of your culture here, it's based on geography. India mein rice is eaten in the south, wheat is eaten in the north. Similarly, in Italy as well, the southernmost part of Italy or the south of Italy uses olive oil in cooking, whereas the north of Italy uses butter and cream. So that's a little gyan I gave you from my Gourmet Gyan studio, which is why we are shooting this amazing recipe. So we're just going to be chopping these. We've got some garlic, which I'm going to literally slice. When I like to cook risotto, I like to slice my garlic. I think slicing garlic gives it a much better flavor. I also like to use a little bit of green chili or chili flakes in my risotto as well. Super. Prep is done. Let's start cooking. I'm going to be using a combination of olive oil and butter. Risotto is one dish where you have to keep on stirring it while you're cooking it. It's not that हम जब इंडिया में चावल या पुलाव पकाते हैं, our rice has to be nice खिले हुए चावल, separate grains, but it doesn't work like that in Italy. So we're going to be sweating off these lovely spring onions in here, along with हमारा garlic, and then we're going to use maybe 1 or 2 green chilies inside here. Now जो risotto का चावल है, it is called arborio, okay? इसके grains काफी मोटे हैं, and we never wash risotto rice, okay? We want them to be starchy, we want them creamy. उसके बाद we have these lovely mushrooms which I'm going to be adding. Now this is one of those risottos where literally there is more mushrooms in the risotto than the rice, okay? So इसे कहते हैं protein flip, which means that instead of adding 100 grams of mushrooms and 300 grams of rice, I'm actually adding 300 grams of mushrooms and I'm adding 100 grams of rice, which means relatively this is quite low on the usually carb dish which you normally would eat, okay? Treat that as a hack. Now next I'm going to be adding these portobello mushrooms in here. Also, I like to use a little bit of white wine in my risotto, especially with mushrooms. But you know what? I think with the kind of weather we have here, it's so amazing. I think a shot of brandy will do wonders in my risotto. I'll be back for my bar in a second. Oh yes, I got my bar. Let's continue with our mushrooms. Sauteed. Abhi it's time to add a little bit of butter to it. And finally, we're going to be adding our wood ear mushrooms or the black fungi. Herbs like rosemary and thyme are always so welcome into the risotto. Also, there's an amazing herb which is called sage, which goes really well with mushrooms as well. Do try it next time when you get a chance. So, सी thyme भी डाल दी है. So you can see we've got these really nice roasting of mushrooms going on here. Okay, mushrooms need to be roasted really well in butter, garlic and herbs in order to get the real flavor out of them. Okay, and so we are literally sauteing them really well, and you can see there's a whole aroma of this lovely roasted caramelized garlic which I can get here. Jai Mata Di! So we flambéed our mushrooms with my favorite brandy. We're going to be as I said, about just 100 grams of this arborio rice to 300 grams of mushrooms. थोड़ा सा नमक शमक डालेंगे अभी, giving it a really nice mix. Now at this stage, okay, is when you are actually coating the rice with the butter, with all the flavorings, okay, literally. Now, rule of thumb, you need 3 parts of stock to 1 part of rice. Okay, it's very simple when you're making a normal risotto. Now this one is going to be slightly different, where I've just added about a cup, not even a cup of water. Okay, now what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to let this slowly cook down until all my rice is cooked, and once the liquid is almost absorbed, I'm going to add my second installment of stock, and in 7 to 8 minutes our mushroom with risotto rice is ready. This is the part when you actually add another installment in order to completely cook the rice. Now remember, ये खिचड़ी नहीं है. लोग समझते हैं खिचड़ी है. खिचड़ी बन सकती है अगर आप ये चावल को कुछ ज्यादा ही पका लें. The rice has to be just perfectly cooked. And for that I need about 6 to 7 minutes. I have some cream which I'm going to be adding over here. Lovely. So some chopped spring onion greens as a flavoring for our risotto, and then we have our curly parsley here. So we're building a little bit of air into this risotto. Okay, so it's time to plate this up. As you can notice, there is more mushrooms which are bound together with rice. This is just all about shrooms. A little bit of spring onions, a little bit of parsley, and some Parmigiano Reggiano. So I'm going to be doing this whole shower. Parmesan की बरसात हो रही है यहाँ पे. बिल्कुल ही comfort food. TV देखो, Netflix देख लो थोड़ी सी. Enjoy yourself. Boom! Wild mushrooms with arborio rice ready.